Welcome to Battleground Chats on the sideline of COBA 2025 here in Brisbane, and I'm thrilled to have Kate Gannon join me for Battleground Chats. Thank you for joining us, Kate.
Oh, thank you for having me, Craig. Lovely to be here.
Thank you. Now, Kate, tell us a bit about yourself, where you've come from and where you're going to.
I started my life as a chartered accountant and an auditor. And
we've all done that.
Within 18 months, I was bored. And
here in Australia?
In Australia, I was a PwC graduate in Brisbane. And my life ambitions were to travel. So career was the pathway to that travel.
Yes.
But 18 months in, I couldn't stand external audit. Sorry to offend anyone who did external audit. It taught me a lot about teamwork. But not much more about business, and I felt uninformed. And so I went into the consulting and started to become essentially a process and operating model consultant.
So you deliberately made that choice. You didn't fall into it.
No, I went home one day and said to my family, my brain is atrophying and I wanted more challenge. And the first day of my consulting career, I had a partner come up to me at the end of it, and I think I might have worked on an Excel spreadsheet and did some data entry. And she asked me, did I add value today? And I was completely shocked. And I said, but I've only done data entry. And she said, no, every day in consulting.
We're back after an announcement at COBA. So have you added
We're very resilient to adapting our conversation.
Exactly.
Yep.
So have you added value?
Yes.
That one line is obviously stuck with you.
It's really stuck with me because I didn't realise I could add value as a junior resource. And from then on, I think I started to wake up to my role as part of a team to deliver something for a client. And that's always, I guess, my career. I've ebbed and flowed between in-house roles, project roles, but they've always been with a purpose to fix something that's broken, mature something that an organisation might need. So I did many, many years in the Basel framework. That's where I discovered risk, so the quantification of risk, and had beautiful forming roles, which at times were near burnout roles, but I learnt so much.
Yeah, you do when you throw yourself into things.
Very deeply thinking about processes, quantification, data management, how to get governance working well. The power of those things. I particularly learnt that probably naively through my years in London. I was there for 10 years.
So let's talk about that. How did you get from Australia to London? Was that through
PwC? I am quite brave, and I pens down at PwC and went on my own back, and I went into the contracting market.
Well done.
Sarbanes-Oxley was fresh. And I spent a fair few years at places like ABN AMRO, Credit Suisse, doing the operational risk side of...
Is that where you got into BAL as well?
And then went into BAL, and the post-GFC, I had two children. One... I got married, obviously, but one child came during the credit crunch. We called it over there. And my return to work role was I inherited a 90-page PwC consulting report about the target operating model of the risk framework at the Global Banking Markets team at Royal Bank of Scotland. And actually, no one knew what to do with it. And my 3-person team that I was part of and very proudly part of, we established and learnt what business architecture was, and we were part of the technology change function for risk, and we established enterprise architecture and a change management approach, really creating something that the executive, I remember them talking to us, we created this humongous diagrammatical representation of the organisation and the amount of change that was happening, and we established that it was all very tactical change. And it was, they called it the diagram of clarity, and new decisions were made from that moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
And adding value.
Adding value.
We're going to pause, and we're back again. This is the beauty of doing a live podcast, right? You get interrupted. Okay, so this idea of adding value comes back. You've created this tactical document for Royal Bank of Scotland. What happens next?
Well, I mean, we ended up then reshaping the program, the remediation program, or the maturity program. There was things like parts of the framework around risk appetite and strategic decision making was completely not thought about. The top level governance was an afterthought, and it wasn't actually used. And I think the Basel ethos of, if you're going to work hard to clarify and quantify risk management and risk in your business, you must use it in decision making. So that use test concept has stuck with me very much as a risk practitioner, and it's one of my driving frustrations when I work with clients that, and there's a reason why they're talking to me as a risk consultant. Their risk management framework isn't working for them. But to see risk being done as a process and an administration is really just compliance management.
And 100%.
And it is leaving so much value on the table. And people are spending, there's risk teams of 2, 5, 10, 20, however many people, and investments in GRC technology where the information isn't good.
Absolutely.
And it is definitely not used other than a quarterly board report, which is, to me, completely insufficient.
Absolutely. We've just brought someone into our team who's passionate about this idea of taking this data out and actually learning how to add value from the data. Because most GRCs just put data in, run a report and go, I hope it's right.
Yes, absolutely.
And not thinking about it.
Absolutely, Craig. And often I'm working with clients where we are. Sorry, I was looking at a technical issue, but there was no. Craig knows what he's doing. Often we're working with clients that we are taking it back to what are the material risks. So I'm an enterprise risk management practitioner, with a view that naming the risks very clearly and finding clear accountability for that risk is your precursor to having the right people in the room to have the risk conversation to make the right decisions. Now, that is very hard if the BAU, or essentially functional accountability, is not well understood. You can't really embed risk if the business isn't really clear or is grey on accountability. But once you do that, and I know you're a GRC provider, but I don't think you need GRC systems until you are really clear at that executive table about what are the risks we care about. The board and you are aligned, and you have a clear pathway for the right people being in the right room at the right time to have that risk,
and also
business conversation,
but also understanding what they need and what.
Correct.
Right. Where I think one of the reasons these things fall over, either the way you implement a GRC. Let's assume you've made up your mind you want a GRC. The question you should be asking is, what do I want? What do I need? What am I going to do with it? Because you're just going to put it in and then you're never going to use it. Or the users are just going to get frustrated with it.
Or you think the GRC is the solution to your risk problem. And so we are often quickly wedged in just before the client has signed a contract with the GRC provider to do an implementation, and we are coming in to just clarify that business requirement at the high level.
And it's too late by then.
And to be honest, risk people talk about the requirement as a framework, but actually technically we have to be really as precise as a customer experience, as a business requirement, as a functional, non-functional requirement of our risk our risk framework, we have to think about the user.
Yep.
And whether you are writing a policy or you are designing a process that goes into a GRC, you have to think about the end user, and that end user should not be just the risk person.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. So, yeah,
and also
we play in that space a lot. And
okay,
it's fun.
so what do you do? Let's talk about the Kate now. The now Kate.
Yes.
How did you move from that Basel world, UK, back to Australia into what you do now?
Came back to Australia and spent a few years at Suncorp Bank.
Yep.
And 5 years there. And also then a little time at Queensland Audit Office, where I worked as a performance auditor, which I actually really loved.
Okay.
It was systems thinking at a state, local, and in some cases federal government. Yeah, it was fascinating. The pace was way too slow for me.
You got so bored.
Yeah.
You got so bored.
And then I worked at Great Southern Bank, where I was the head of enterprise and operational risk, and we did essentially a risk transformation with no budget other than the team. My beautiful team I inherited, and on the first day I had coffee with them all individually and said, "What do you think your job is?" And lots of them didn't actually know.
Yeah.
They thought they were supporting incidents or maybe a board report. They thought their job was reporting. And so we took it back to, well, what value can this team of 9 really great people actually do? And we re-looked at what the business needed, and we were heading into a 3-year transformation of digital strategy, ended up being a rebranding. In the middle of that, we had... I learned that I was the crisis coordinator.
Fantastic.
On the first Friday in the role. How did I learn that?
Because of the crisis?
No, every Friday our core banking system ground down to almost a halt. And that was an underinvestment in technology. And we've recognised that, and proactively then a new leadership team came in and that was all supported. But I was the crisis coordinator in a cyber event, which was a data breach, an active data breach by a hacker. And it was, we've just heard that amazing
speaker here
at the COBA conference that described her ransomware attack experience. I had PTSD as she was talking through it, because it really is a very emotional moment. But I remember being jokingly, the team all worked amazingly together, and jokingly, one of the leadership team said to me, "Oh, you seem to really enjoy the crisis." And I was like, reflected on that, and I reflect on that statement often. It isn't the crisis I enjoyed, it was the teamwork and the efficient, effective surfacing of problems, resolution, and decision making. And we survived. In fact, I think we bounced back much stronger. And the root cause identification process was, as a risk practitioner, I think it was quite validating, because we had identified these individual issues across our business,
and that all.
It was fascinating that, yes, in aggregate, those things that we had told ourselves were continuous improvement. So some things we wanted to do around project and change.
And someone had taken advantage of all of those different bits.
They had all added up to the crisis.
And I think when we run crisis exercises, I often say to the participants, and have some fun. And they always laugh at me.
No.
I don't mean fun as in fun. I mean, like, some people thrive in the adrenaline, in the out-of-box thinking, the different ways, and the teamwork.
Bring them in.
Exactly. But also recognize when you're not good at it.
Yes. Do you know one of my, when you do the leadership scoring, your skills, or your character traits, one of mine is humour.
Interesting.
I absolutely am very, very serious about the job.
Yes.
But when I'm at my best, I'm bringing humour, and I really enjoy making a boardroom laugh. It doesn't bother me to talk about hard things and bring humour, because at the end of the day, that we're all human.
Exactly.
And so that's really the ethos. I wanted to, the part of risk that I love was the fixing and the transformation part. And I wanted the opportunity to do that more and more. And
okay, so what do you do? We've got 1 minute left.
Yep.
What is Kate doing now?
Yeah, so 3.5 years in, I have a beautiful team. There's 5. We're all women at the moment. There's no particular hiring policy other than you must be passionate about risk, and you can work remotely, and I prioritize life integration. And
amazing. Love it.
And that's very much part of the way I want my team to live.
Yep. And where can they find you? Where can our listeners find you?
You can find me. I'm prolific on LinkedIn at the moment.
With your dance moves?
With my dance moves, yes. So August Advisory essentially is a risk consulting framework. We say we like to fix the frameworks.
Yes.
And we've just launched Resilience SOS, which is fixing the chat of risk. So we have established essentially a colourful, plain English way to share what is the ethos and mindset of risk management, bring the conversation into the habits of the leadership cohort and hopefully the teams, because they are the ones with the knowledge about what is happening in the business.
Yes.
And if that information is left on the table, there is really so much value left out of the risk conversation at the decision-making points in the business. So, so we...
sounds amazing.
We love working with purpose-based businesses.
Yep.
And we will try and help as many people as we can. We try to scale to people's budgets where possible. And we just want to be partners to help really
effect change.
Yeah, and breathe some passion back into the risk profession.
Yes.
You know?
I love that.
We are a wonderful community of really curious people.
Yeah.
And
Kate, that is why I do this podcast.
Excellent.
And try and bring risk to life and introduce risk people to the world who risk people generally don't put themselves out there.
Yeah. We're very shy.
We're very shy.
Yes.
Well, you can't tell on this podcast, though, can you?
Well, I tell you what, starting a business and having a digital marketing presence is very confronting for me. I'd much rather be talking one-on-one.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And Kate Gannon, thank you so much for being on Battleground Chats.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.